Good morning, everybody. I'm going to tell you about oral gildaretinol for the treatment of Stargardt's disease. The key takeaway messages for you is that in 2025, Alkeus will be submitting a new drug application for gildaretinol in the treatment of Stargardt's disease. Gildaretinol is a once-a-day oral therapy taken as a pill. We've obtained breakthrough therapy designation for the treatment of Stargardt, as well as rare pediatric disease designation and orphan drug designation. What's interesting is that in ophthalmology, we've only had 6 drugs so far with breakthrough therapy designations. All of them are listed here: Luxturna, Lucentis, Tepezza, Oxervate, and Izervay. And gildaretinol is the last one, and with currently no treatment available. Our company is supported by 4 solid institutional investors led by Bain Capital Life Sciences. Our executive leadership team is mentioned here, and we're really growing the organization as we step up and get ready for commercialization. Stargardt is the 3rd largest monogenic disease. It's a serious progressive disease that leads to profound and irreversible central vision loss. 95% of the cases are due to pathogenic variants in the ABCA4 gene. These defective ABCA4 leads to improper transport of vitamin A that accelerates vitamin A dimerization, leading to retinal death. And for patients that are diagnosed early, they typically progress to legal blindness within 7 years. No treatment exists today for Stargardt's disease. In Stargardt's disease, in a healthy retina, vitamin A cycles inside the retina and is properly recycled between the RPE and the photoreceptors. But in Stargardt's disease, vitamin A cannot be properly recycled, leading to these vitamin A dimers. So what we thought about is, can one slow vitamin A dimerization, but without affecting the visual cycle, considering how important it is for the rest of vision? So we developed gildaretinol. Gildaretinol, displayed here, is a deuterated form of vitamin A. Here you can see the molecule on top, which is retinol acetate and gildaretinol acetate. It's taken once a day as a pill, and it's transported naturally to the retina, and it slows down by 4 to 5 times the inherent dimerization ability of vitamin A. And when you have that, you think about the dream. What could it mean for patients if this drug works? So let's look at a standard retina, and I'll show you one case study, which is essentially when you treat patients early enough. Here is on the top the Stargardt disease progression in an untreated child between 19 and 23 years old. And this is a 17-year-old child who was diagnosed pre-symptomatic. You can see already abnormal autofluorescence parafoveally, and you know that this patient is going to progress, and the phenotype is going to look very much so like the older sibling. But we treated this patient with gildaretinol for 2 years, and you see no progression during these 2 years. We continued treating for another 2 years. We saw, again, no progression. This patient continued to have 20/20. This patient is now 24 years old. Results are not shown here, and there's still been no progression after 7 years. We've treated several of these cases, and when you think about it, if this drug is commercialized, these will be the patients who would benefit the most and potentially live a normal life without any development of symptoms. In order to prove that and get a drug approved, we launched a program called the TEASE program, comprised of 4 clinical trials. The TEASE-1 program was enrolling patients with advanced stage Stargardt's disease and well-delineated RPE atrophy. The TEASE-2 study enrolled patients with decreased retinal sensitivity without well-delineated RPE atrophy. The TEASE-3 study was an open-label clinical trial enrolling these early-stage patients, and the TEASE-4 is an open-label clinical trial. The TEASE-1 trial was a double-masked, randomized, placebo-controlled trial to evaluate the safety and efficacy of gildaretinol in advanced stage patients. The trial design is displayed here. The study met its primary endpoint, showing a 21.6% effect size on the growth rate of atrophic lesions compared to placebo and natural history combined. Importantly, also, these results remain significant when excluding the natural history additional pool. The drug was well tolerated with no clinically significant changes or trends of change seen in liver functions test over 2 years. There were no systemic or ocular adverse events related to hyper or hypovitaminosis A. Especially, there was no reports of chromatopsia, dark adaptation delays, or night blindness, as gildaretinol is not a visual cycle modulator. The drug was well tolerated with no serious adverse events that were drug-related. There was one case of grade 1 papilledema, which is enlarged optic disc margins in the 24 milligram cohort, which resolved upon temporary interruption of treatment. The T3 trial was an open-label 2-year trial that enrolled patients that were young. These patients are here enrolled between 8 and 70 years old, but on average, they were all in the mid-teens. In this patient, I showed you one case before, but the best corrected visual acuity also shows absolutely no progression or loss after up to 4 years of treatment here. And in dashed line, you can see this is the untreated sibling and their progression. The TEASE-2 study, I won't get into in very much detail, was an 80-patient randomized double-masked placebo-controlled trial. The top-line results are expected in 2025. Importantly also, we think about vitamin A dimers are for Stargardt's disease, but they also activate and dysregulate complement. They act also as inhibitor or activators of various proteins, including VEGF. And so as a result, we started the SAGA clinical trial, which is a phase 2/3 study for geographic atrophy. The study did not meet the pre-specified primary endpoint, showing a 13% growth rate reduction versus placebo with a p-value of 0.07, so very close, missing the primary endpoint. When looking at the first sensitivity analysis showing growth rate between 6 and 24 months, we found a 15% growth rate that was statistically significant this time on the 200 enrolled patients. Importantly also, there was an effect seen on the first key secondary endpoint, which was low luminance visual acuity. We selected this one because gildu-retinol is supposed to have a benefit on dark adaptation. So here you can see an effect on 4.4 letters loss less than the placebo arm. The drug, again, was well tolerated, similar to what we saw in the TEASE program. Importantly also, and because people are concerned about when treating with Izervay or Syfovre, concerned about CNV progression here, 11% of gildu-retinol patients progressed to CNV versus 44% in the placebo arm, which was a 33% absolute difference, which is a significant number statistically as well. Stargardt is a devastating disease with a high unmet medical need and an urgent need for effective and safe therapy. Here are some of the testimonials from patients who we communicate with on a daily basis as well. You can see Miles coming down a bus. In summary, 2025 will be a transformative year. We will be submitting the new drug application using the existing data package. We will also have the TEASE-2 data readout. We are currently preparing for commercial launch. Our company, I think, is approximately 50 employees, will grow to 150 by next year. And we're also establishing a European regulatory pathway. With this, I thank you very much for your attention.